Hi guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Give me half a moment here. Apparently my apron got dropped on the ground, so yay. Alright, there's a couple weird pieces of something on the back, so that's alright. Okay, so welcome to the stream, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is Monday, and you know what that means. It's blacksmithing time. So last week, hey Mahalo, welcome to the stream. So last week we spent a little bit of time working on making some animal sculptures. So we started with the lizard, and honestly, I think he's really the best one. I don't know if this was like beginner's luck or what, right? But he's really nice looking. He's kind of cute, right? Next, we kind of took a little bit of a detour, and we did just an animal head with a bottle opener on it. And I think it was supposed to be a dog, but I think it looks more like a llama. And so, I don't know. Then on Wednesday and Friday, we tried to do a horse. And it kind of looks like a running horse a little bit. The tail's a little bit awkward. But other than that, I think it looks all right. The bottle opener and the horse definitely need a trip to the wire wheel, but I have not gotten around to it just yet. So that's what we just finished up. And today, we're going to start on a brand new project. And that project is going to be a chain hold down. So this right here is a chain that was sent to me several months ago by Mahalo. And so thank you for sending me this chain, Mahalo. And I think it would be a great hold down, but I need to find a good way to attach this to the anvil and some weights. So we are going to make some eye hooks and some rigging shackles. Now, I'm going to use the shackle to attach the hook onto the chain, or at least I hope I'm going to. It might take me a little bit of effort to try and figure out how to pop in the little links for this chain, but we'll make it happen. We'll get there. So right now I have a bunch of 3-inch long, 5/8-inch square stock lengths. I've got 4 of them. We're going to turn 2 of them into eye hooks, and we're going to turn 2 of them into rigging shackles. So not like shackles, like prisoner shackles, but like a rigging shackle. It's basically a U or an N shape with like little holes on each end, and a bolt goes through it to kind of tighten it and make sure that it's on there. Hey, Blue Red Metal, welcome to the stream. So that is today's project, probably also Wednesday's project. So we are going to make 2 of each, one for each end of this chain, and then I'm probably going to buy myself a screw eye to screw into the anvil stand. Now, the reason I want to make 2 eye hooks and a screw eye on the bottom is because I want to be able to take this off the anvil when I don't need it. So it's going to be removable. And then the other end is going to be able to hook onto weights, however much weight that I need at any given time to hold down the object I'm trying to hold down. All right. So we've got an ad starting any minute now. And once that ad is over, I will start up the forge and we'll start working on these guys. So yeah, I'm super excited to try and do something with this chain, because it's a nifty, cool chain. It's really hefty, and I think it'll do a great job as a hold down. So hopefully we can turn these guys into the pieces of equipment that we need to put this on here. So before we really start, I have a disclaimer. I cannot guarantee how much. Well, I guess I will do the disclaimer after the ad break just because I want everybody to be able to hear it. And I will repeat it several times throughout the stream today and tomorrow as long as we're doing these. So while we're waiting for the ad, I think what I'm going to do is file the flashing off of these guys a little bit. It's not working right, but that's all right. There it goes. It's off of there for the most part, or it'll come off of there. Okay. There's that one. This project reminds me, I need to make myself a hook tool too, right? Hook tools are really, really good for like turnbuckles and stuff. We're not going to be making a turnbuckle this time, but maybe in the future it might be fun to try and make a turnbuckle. All right. So we're going to do those two first. Okay. Looks like everybody is back. All right. So, disclaimer, guys. Looks like Artemis 2 is about to do the moon flyby. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. So if they're doing that during the stream, I mean, feel free to go tab over. You know, that's awesome. That's so cool. So for my disclaimer for today's project, please do not use this design for anything that risks life, limb, safety. These are not... I have no idea how much weight these are going to hold. I have no idea how well they're going to work. So please don't try this at home. Hey, Sandwich, welcome to the stream. Good evening. So yeah, if you make your own rigging, make sure that if you're going to use it for anything really important, that you get it checked out by a structural engineer to make sure that you're not going to break it or, you know, damage the equipment or yourself or whatever, you know? Because, you know, rigging can get really tight. There's a lot of stresses on these things. So these are kind of more decorative, less industrial. All right. Not for lifting, for overhead, not for load bearing. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like I said, I cannot guarantee how much weight these guys will hold. For our purposes, which is a hold down over my anvil, I mean, it's going to be a long chain that extends from one side of my anvil base to the other side. So the worst that could happen is it drops the weight on my toe. You know, I got some lovely steel toes on. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's not even going to be that high. So, you know, just try not, or don't use this for anything really important. Okay, let's start the forge. There we go. We're going to be using the big forge today because we're going to be doing a lot of drifting and curving. And I'm also debating if I want to build the shackles inside of the eye hooks. Where's my headphones? I had them. They were here like 2 seconds ago while I was cutting these pieces of steel. Isn't load bearing forbidden anyway? Meanwhile, due to animal protection. Something like that. Okay. I need some tongs. These are not the right kind of tongs. Where are my tongs? These are not them either. Okay, so which one is my correct tongs? These guys. These guys are my correct tongs. All right, so we're gonna start with just one today and see how it goes. Load bearing, like a bear. So yeah, today I'm having a pretty good time already, man. I've actually been very busy today already. It on the 15th of this month is the deadline for the American tax returns, or like I guess they're we have to file our taxes, and the deadline is the 15th. And so today I paid my state taxes. I get a refund from federal, so that's awesome. And the federal covers the state, so it's just transferring money from one place to the other. And then, like, we put all my plants outside yesterday, so I went and I watered the plants, and I was trying to figure out which ones are growing more. And I've got like little sprouts. They're so cool. It's so weird though, because the first sprout, it popped up and it was like this big within the time that I left to go stream on Friday, and by the time I got back in from stream, it had grown this much. It was crazy. I didn't know they sprouted that quickly. Scary how many of those are in use like that. I was in a home improvement store once, and someone asked me if screw eyes would be okay to hold up a punch swing or a porch swing. I told them no, because only the threads would be providing hold. I think they bought them anyway. Yes, that's super duper dangerous. You definitely need something a lot stronger than just screw eyes for a porch swing, because the screw eyes are not, they're not rated for that amount of stress or weight. Gotta be super, super careful. But yeah, so like I said, today we are going to be doing shackles and screw eyes. I have to decide if I want, I think what I will be doing, now that I really think about it, is I want to put the screw eyes through the shackles, right? So a shackle is shaped like kind of like a C, right? And then both ends have little round holes, right? So that you can put the bolt through that shackle. I think before I punch the holes for the screw bolts, I think I'm going to put the eye hooks on them. So that way I can use the bolt to kind of affix the chain onto the shackle. I think that's how I want to go about it. Hey Yankee, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for that raid. Hello everyone, welcome in, welcome. So we are just getting started. Yeah, we are going to be working on some rigging today, or some rigging pieces. I want to immediately disclose that these are not meant to be load-bearing pieces of equipment. Do not take this design, or please do not take this design and, use it for overhead, for load-bearing, for anything that's like, you care about. They're more decorative, because I can't guarantee how much weight these guys are going to hold. So we are making eye hooks and rigging shackles, right? So, it's like equipment that you use for cables and, for like towing and stuff like that. However, like I said, I don't know, I can't guarantee the weight rating on these guys without taking them to a mechanical engineer. So, and I don't know anybody, so we're just gonna kind of wing it and hope everything works out. So these specific pieces are going to go on a chain that we're just going to use to hold down items on my anvil. So I have a screw eye that we are going to screw into the base of my anvil, and then we are going to use the hook eyes and the shackles on the ends of the chain to kind of keep things on the anvil. One side will be on the anvil stand and the other side will be holding weights. So we are just getting started. I just put the steel in the forge. So we're kind of just hanging out, waiting for it to get hot, and then we will get started. So I have 4 pieces to make. I need to make 2 hook eyes and 2 rigging shackles. And I'm trying to be really specific and calling them rigging shackles because shackles, just the word, kind of has some strange connotations, and I want to make sure that everything is copacetic. You know, they're rigging shackles. Not people shackles. Not even guaranteed for Christmas ornaments. Yes, not guaranteed for that either. Speed run to ban, right? Yeah, so these things are going to be about yay big-ish. So you couldn't even put them on anyone's wrists if you wanted to. Like, you know, I have some teeny wrists, and I don't think they'd fit over mine. So they are for rigging purposes, not for people. Alrighty, how we doing? We're starting to get hot. We're about halfway there. So, yes. Super excited. So, Yankee, I was just telling everybody that my starters have started to sprout. So we put them outside in the yard so that they've got full sunlight on them, and they're really starting to grow. So I've got some, I have some scallions that I'm growing, and one of the sprouts is already like this big. It's crazy. I didn't know that they sprouted that quickly either. Like, on Friday, I went out to stream, and there were no sprouts at all. And then by the time I came back in the house from streaming, 2.5 hours, there was this much sprout on there. I was like, what? I thought it would be like little, and then it would grow slowly. But it just like, woo, that was crazy. Had a nice warm weekend, yes. It was super warm. I mean, it's still like not hot or anything, but it's really nice out. I think we are in the 60s Fahrenheit today, so I'll probably be taking my jacket off at some point today. But overall, it's really nice, and so hopefully, it stays this way. I guess I'll let it get a little bit warmer later. So yeah, gardening this weekend, and yeah. And then there was also the taxes. We had to get all the taxes together and stuff this weekend so that we can send that off and not have to worry about it. And also, Easter. Although I didn't do much on Easter, I spent it playing video games because, yeah, we're pretty far away from family, so I didn't really do anything. But, that's all right. We'll see family later, and I did see my mom and dad like last week, like not last Friday, but like the Thursday before. So I've seen them pretty recently, so that was really exciting there. All right, are we starting to get there? It's still a little bit on the cold side. I really want to start hammering shortly, but I gotta be patient. The first couple heats, I'm never patient, and I never get enough done in that first couple heats. So, the first thing that we're gonna make is we are going to make the first hook eye, right? So I think the first thing that we're gonna do is draw out a little bit of the material, thin it out, and make it hook-like, or at least draw it out long enough to turn into a hook. I have a bunch of old vegetable seeds. I'm thinking of clearing off a space and just throwing them all on the soil and see what grows. That's interesting. We deliberately bought like 5 packets of seeds. So we bought corn, we bought yellow onions, we bought scallions, we bought peppers, and what else did we buy? What was the last thing? I don't remember. That's pretty bad. I don't remember what the last thing that we bought was, or that we got. We also have garlic that we want to do, and then I think that we might do potatoes. So all of the seedlings are starting to sprout, and I'm super excited. Except I don't want the animals to eat my sprouts. So I have them right next to the door, and my cat has been obsessively watching out the door recently. So I'm hoping that at least he deters things from trying to eat my sprouts. Fingers crossed. I get all of my vegetables this year. Okay, let's start our first heat. It's going to be a little on the cold side, I think, but I like I said, I want to start and I'm impatient. Yes, Cat Patrol. He is obsessed with it right now, but there's like a groundhog outside, and I'm trying to make sure that the groundhog doesn't eat my veggies. So like I said, we started out super cold, so we did not get to make terribly much progress. We're going to need to put this back in the heat and be a little bit more patient. So the goal here is to take the first 2 inches of this bar and draw it out so it is maybe 5 to 6 inches long, and I want to reduce the width and height by about half. We're going to take the last inch, and that's where we're going to put the eye. I figure if I want to thread the eye through or like the hook eyes through the shackles, I'll need to make the hook eyes first, right? And I also have to preface this by saying I have never made any rigging equipment like this before. Theoretically, it should be relatively simplistic, but it could totally be very deceptive. And maybe I'm not prepared for what I'm doing to myself, but we're gonna try anyway. So yes, we've got this groundhog that is like hanging out in the yard. It had a whole we have this like little what used to be a tulip patch right next to the house, and we kind of put a bunch of debris on it from when we were doing the bathroom, and for whatever reason the groundhog burrowed through the debris and into that flower pot or patch and was living in there for a while. So when we moved all that debris, we filled in the hole, and then it moved under our shed. And then we tried to fill the hole under the shed, and it moved under our back porch, and we filled in that hole, and it's back in the shed now. So apparently this groundhog is stubborn, and it can't take a hint that we don't want the groundhog. So hopefully the cat is enough of a deterrent that it will leave my plants alone. Yes, they are such destructive little jerks. It's like I'm trying to grow things, and I'm trying to actually have a decent looking yard, you know? Can you move on? There's plenty of space near, there's like a little patch of trees. I don't mind if it lives there. I'd live trap it and relocate it to a county park or something. I mean, yeah, then it can dig up the county park and the county will have to deal with it and not me. I don't know. We'll probably try that. I think the last time I tried to live trap something, the animal was a little bit too smart for me. I had like a mouse, a couple of mice. So I got these live trap mouse traps, and it's just this like container, and you put peanut butter or some other bait in the end of it, and it's supposed to go through it. Well, the mouse never went in it. It just kind of left. I think that tungsten caught it eventually. I think that tungsten is a much better mouser and deterrent than the live traps that we had. Groundhogs like melon rinds. They fall for it pretty easily. Ooh. We should definitely try a melon rind in a live trap if we can do it. When my grandpa used to own the farm, while he was still alive, what he would do is he would find both ends of the hole, right? And he'd put a hose in one end and a milk jug at the other end, and he'd flood the hole. And then the groundhogs, or I guess, I don't know, he said they were groundhogs, but they might have been like chipmunks, because he claims that the groundhog was going so fast that it went inside the milk jug. I don't know that I believe that, because groundhogs are like yay big, and a milk jug is like this big. The hole. There's a parkway along the river here. You can see a lot of mounds of dirt from the ground burrows. Lots of those critters. Yes, they love it here. They love it. All right, let's do another heat. We're starting to get warm enough. Still a little on the cold side, but not too bad. All right, so these are pretty thick, so it's going to take us a couple of heats. But we are basically trying to give ourselves a pretty long point so that we can start our hook with. So yeah, we've kind of been, over the last year or two, fighting this groundhog. How we doing on stuffies? I think we're all right. For whatever reason, chat is reconnecting. I don't know why. It always makes me nervous when it says that it's trying to connect to chat, because I'm always afraid that my internet is being intermittent and bouncing up and down, and I'm not broadcasting. So far, so good. Knock on wood. You know. So yeah. Do you have a set of traps and dies to cut the threads? Oh, taps and dies to cut the threads. I have taps and dies, but nothing big enough for this particular project. So I don't think that I'm going to do the screw eye for the anvil stand. I think I'm just going to buy it. So I will bring in one of the hook eyes with me to the hardware store, and we'll find one that'll fit. But like I said, I don't think that I want to deal with the taps right now. You can very much tap and die a screw eye. We could make one. It's just, I'm going to allow the hardware store to take care of that problem for me. Unless I could do a corkscrew. I mean, if I could do a corkscrew, which I don't think I could in this case, that would make it a lot easier for me to deal with it. But I just don't think that it would work right. Good plan, right? So I used to do a lot of weaponry and modifications to weaponry, or like SCA weaponry. And they have standard tanks for all of their like rapiers and their cut and thrust swords and stuff, so that they can change the pommels. And so I made sure that I had a tap and die kit that would allow me to do the standard threading, which was 7 millimeters. So I do occasionally use metric measurements. So 7 millimeter thread. But I mean, I think that I'm gonna need a much bigger tap and die set if I were going to do this on my own. How dare I know? Okay. I mean, I'm doing a bunch of it. We do have an ad that's going to be starting in about 3 minutes. I will not be that long on this heat, so hopefully, you know, hopefully it works right. All right, we're starting to get a nice point. I need it to be a little bit pointier of a point, though. We still got a little bit of width there, so we're going to heat this up one more time. And then once we've got a nice tip for our hook, we are going to start drawing out the rest of it. It's going to be a really fun project. It's going to test me quite a bit because I need things to be relatively even without lumps and bumps. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter as much, but I want them to be nice and pretty, you know, and precise. I think the hardest part is actually going to be punching the holes and making sure that they're big enough but not too big, and rounding them out. We want a nice rounded eye so that we don't have any edges that are going to be rubbing on the shackle. So this tank of propane has lasted me like forever. We have been, the last couple of weeks, we've been using the mailbox for our heat source. And so it's just been running and running and running, and it does not take much in the way of propane. So I have over half a tank left, and I think that's really crazy. I have a full tank sitting over behind the camera when we do run out, but I haven't run out yet, so I'm pretty surprised and pleasantly happy with the efficiency of the mailbox. Unfortunately, we just cannot use that one for this project because we are going to be doing the hook in one direction, and then the eye is going to be perpendicular. So, or wait. No, it's not. It's going to be parallel, now that I think about it, because of how it needs to sit in the shackle. I don't know. Maybe we could have used the mailbox, at least until we had to bend the hook. Yeah. This just means I'm going to have to draw it out a little bit longer. I spent a good couple hours yesterday kind of looking at different designs of hook eyes and shackles just to kind of see, or like the rigging shackles just to kind of give myself a good idea of how I wanted to go about doing it. And I'm pretty confident, but I'm also, you know, you never know what's gonna happen. So I'm hoping that I can get 2 of these done each day. So I want to get both of the hook eyes done today, and then on Wednesday I'm hoping that I can get the shackles done. We might end up going into Friday because I think the shackles are going to be a little bit more effort than the hook eyes, because we're going to be doing we're going to be doing 2 punched holes for each of the shackles and 1 for the hook eyes. So that's 2 total today, hole punches. And then I'll need 4 hole punches on Wednesday for the shackles. So we shall see how well it works. I started with a material this big because I wanted to give myself enough material for the eye. And I figured I can draw out enough material with the block that's left over after the eye. And we are back. I think I'm going to change my camera. I probably should have done this while the ad was going on. I should have changed my camera angle. But you know what? I'm not the smartest sometimes. I wasn't thinking about the camera. I was kind of just thinking about my hook eyes. There we go. New angle. Exciting. It makes the edits a little bit more interesting to watch in the end. And if you guys don't get to see something from one of the camera angles, you should be able to see it from another. Or I could drop it. That works too. Alright. That's kind of what I want to see for this eye, or this hook. Looks pretty pointy to me. So from here, what we're going to do is we are going to draw the material out, thin this out a little bit. I want about 1 inch, so about that much of the material is going to stay in this shape. That's going to create the eye, and we're going to draw out the rest of this. So, when I was doing my homework for creating this hook eye, I kind of realized that the actual hook part, like the top of the hook, is thicker than the rest of the body of the hook. And I'm pretty sure that the reason that is so that under pressure and under pull, the hook will not straighten out and unhook. So I think that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to do a little bit of a thinner drawdown closer to where the eye is going to be, and then we're going to leave ourselves a little bit of thickness that is going to kind of be flattened after we've rounded out the curve, just so that the hook doesn't unbend itself as it gets used over time. Yep, the hook needs plenty of spine. Exactly. So we're going to do a little bit more of a drawdown or transition between the pointy bit of the hook, but we're not going to do a lot of drawing in that particular section. We're going to leave it a little bit fat. A little bit proud. I think that's the technical term is proud. Bigger. So yeah, this is one of those projects that I feel like was bread and butter for blacksmiths about 150 to 200 years ago, right? Before stuff really started getting manufactured, you know? A lot of people were going to need hooks for industrial purposes, and so like for hay or moving hay around and things like that. So it's really fun to recreate a classic design. Yeah, for sure. Lots of horse carts and wagons use this kind of hardware. Exactly. I was looking at the shackle, or I Google searched rigging shackles, right? Figuring I wanted to make sure that I was getting like the type of shackle that I wanted. And I mean, it's the same, but I saw a lot of flat shackles, even smaller ones. So we're going to do it as a rounded shackle, kind of like what you would buy in the hardware store. So it's a little bit of ooh-woo in that there's an O and a U and an O, except, ooh-woo was kind of W's and not U's. Lots of hay hooks too. Yes, exactly. That's kind of the design for these hook eyes, is like the hay hooks. I don't want it to be quite as long, because usually hay hooks are real long. So we're just doing a mini one. All right, let's do another heat. Starting to lose grip. All right, let's get another bit of heat. Didn't get too much effort in that, but we'll get there. I think we are going to move the camera because I started working over at the horn of the anvil, and that's going to allow us to draw out the material a lot quicker. So we're going to bring the camera back over here a little bit. And I think I need to lower it. Yeah, just a little. Lower the camera. All right. All right, there. And there it shall sit. Let's put it in focus. All right. And here we go. Thinking about your gardening project, might you consider making any handheld tilling or harvesting tools? So I originally offered to make like a tiller for the butler to use, but kind of like one of those like 4-pronged ones that has like a T handle at the top, and you kind of just go like this. to turn the dirt over. And I offered to do it because it looked really simple. You know, you just kind of taper little tines and then weld them together, right? And I thought that it would be an easy project, but the butler's like, I don't want to take up your time. So I don't know. Maybe we will anyway, just to do it, because I really love making things that I can put into use. So yeah, the butler's like, oh, I don't want to take up your streaming time. And I'm like, I don't think it'll be an issue, but sure. So I don't know. We haven't actually bought any tools yet, but I don't know that I can get any gardening tools done in time to actually use at least the tiller this year. So maybe we'll use my tiller next year. But we can definitely make like little trowels and maybe like a gardening hoe or something like that, you know? We could probably make a few things like that. If you guys are interested, I can add them to the list. Hey, Dr. Optimal. Things are pretty good. How are you? I'm doing pretty good here. Making a hook eye and a few other things for rigging. This is so that I can make the chain that Mahalo sent me into a hold down. Making a little bit of progress. I need to make sure that I'm letting things get hot enough. Skullface, hello, welcome to the stream. I'm a little concerned that you've gone to the dark side making shackles. So what I'm making is hook eyes and rigging shackles, right? These are not going to be anywhere near large enough to use for nefarious purposes. So basically, I am making a hold down for my anvil, right? So I want to be able to remove this chain. It's going to be made out of a chain. And so Mahalo sent me this chain in the mail. And so it's a really nice, really large chain. And I think it'll be great to hold things down onto the anvil. So I am going to buy a screw eye so that I can install it onto my anvil stand. And then we are making hooks so that we can attach them to the chain and then use that to hold down material. So one end will be attached to the anvil stand and the other will be attached to some weights, right? That way we get a good solid hold on. Hey, Corwin. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, that's what we're making today. And thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the community. So I hope it's exciting. Maybe it's less exciting than some of our other projects, but I think it'll be a good tool to be able to use later. Now, there is a tool that we are going to be making later on this month that would be perfect for this job. But I haven't made it yet. I don't have things set up to make it. We're going to make a a blacksmith's friend or a guillotine hardy tool. So basically, it is a frame that you can put interchangeable dies on that sits in the square hole on my anvil. So then you can put pieces of steel in there and hammer the dies together, like so they squish together like so, and then it will shape the material in whatever way I need it to. So it would be really cool if I had some fullering dies for it. But unfortunately, I just don't have things set up to fabricate that piece yet. So we're going to do it anyway, and we'll see how this goes. All right, let's do another heat. All right, we're starting to get some heat in there. Maybe we'll make a little more progress. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Okay. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is turn this guy around so we can heat up this side. And we're going to start working on this section right here to kind of create a nice parallel lines and a nice shape there. A spring fuller could get me by. It could. It definitely could. We're going to change tongs to these guys. I feel like I need to make a spring fuller too. All right, we're going to see about moving. We've been shifting the anvil over a little bit. There we go. So yeah, there's lots of different tools that you could get by or that you could use to do this process. So what we're just gonna do it with the anvil and the tools that we've got. So, you know, we could definitely make different tools for it, but for now, we're gonna do it this way. Eye hooks and rigging shackles. You're not becoming an SFW smith, are you? No. I am making a chain hold down for my anvil. So Mahalo, who is one of our viewers and one of the mods, sent me a chain in the mail, and so I want to turn that into a hold down. So I need some hooks to put on the end of the chain so that I can use it to hold pieces of steel onto the anvil and keep them from falling off. It sounds like I'm going to be doing a little bit of FW stuff, but I'm really trying to be copacetic about this. I saw a video for a 1 or 2 heat spring fuller. Then you weld a hardy shank to it. Yes, you really. I've seen a couple of those too. So you just like heat the area that you just need to bend over, and then you just weld the hardy onto it. And I would totally do that, but I don't have any material that I can really use as a hardy. I don't know. I guess that's also a lie, because I was watching a video by John over at Black Bear Studios, or Black Bear Forge. And so he had this design for a spring fuller, And basically, it was a really long bar that he bent in that horseshoe shape, but then he also bent it to fit in his Hardy. So the whole thing was made out of a single bar with no welds. So I could do that, I guess. I didn't think about doing it though. I've been thinking of putting together a spring fuller tomorrow, actually. It's a pita for someone who doesn't weld. Angle iron or something that fits diagonally also works. Yeah, like I said, Black Bear has a incredible video on making a single bar spring fuller by folding the material to fit in the Hardy. So if you're looking for one, that might be a place to look. You know, he's got a good video on it. All right, let's do another heat. All right, couple more heats and we'll have that ready to flatten out and start punching. Hey, I and my 198 goats, I sold a few, have arrived. Welcome in, Bluesy. Welcome, welcome. You sold a few goats? Well, I'm sure there are plenty of good ways to use goats. I suppose that's really what they're for, too. You know, you kind of got to get rid of the ones that aren't producing and stuff. Takes up a pugilist stance. Come on, let's punch. Yes, we are going to be punching the hole in this eye or hook eye. Man, I hear that bird again. So there's a bird. When I came out here to set up all of the stream stuff, I heard this like weird picking sound. And so I went outside and it was a bird trying to pick my gutter guard off. And I can hear him out there. He's like right over there trying to pick the gutter guard off. So I don't know. Hopefully the hammer blow scares him away again. I've been going out and when he was scared off from that side, he went over to that side and started over again. Right? I'm just having all kinds of animal problems this year. I mean, it's about right, because now that side of me has no houses and neither does behind the house, there's just a lot of wildlife and area for them to be. So I do have a house on that side of me, but you know, nothing all the way around that way. Probably a cowbird. They like to do that and build a nest. Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do, is build a nest like right where the downspout is. It's kind of weird. The last time a bird did that, you know, they blocked up the downspout and then the eggs went down, and that was not pleasant for them. I wish they wouldn't do that. Couple more heats and we'll be good to go. Many years ago, there was a woodpecker that would hang out on one of the metal vent pipes coming from my roof. It was very loud, both outside and inside of the house. Yeah, I would imagine. I used to have when I lived in a different town, there was, or like a bird fell down our chimney. Well, the chimney we didn't have like a fireplace or anything. It was the chimney, which was the vent for the HVAC, right? And so somehow the bird got into the chimney and into the HVAC pipes, or like the square aluminum tubing, or like the vent tubing, and it was ridiculous trying to get it out. We had to like pull all of the vents off and try and corral it out, and then it was just flying in the house. Tungsten might have something to say about that, right? I have a few swallows that built their nest on one of my barns, and I have a few owl boxes. I don't know, maybe I need a bird's nest. Maybe that's what I need, because these birds are every year they're trying to make nests in my eaves or in my chimney or whatever. Maybe I just need to make a bird box so that, they'll have a place specifically for them. But I feel like if I do that, then they'll ignore it and build in my, on my roof or wherever they want, I have trees. It's not like they couldn't build their nests in my trees. Make a few metal ones. I should. So my Instagram monthly blacksmith challenge this month is bird, or something that's bird related. So I could probably do some bird boxes or some stuff. After all, you are a smithy. I am a smithy. I'll have to come up with a good project design. Bird jail, right? So we do have an ad break starting in about a minute and a half. Once that's over, I will pull the steel out and do another heat. I think I need to wait a little bit longer in order to make sure that the heat has penetrated into the center of the steel, and so it'll start moving real nice and fluidly. But yeah, bird jail. I think I'm gonna move the camera maybe, or maybe I'll do one more heat and then move the camera. I think I still got some footage left on that piece. I can only do 30 minutes of continuous footage before I have to reset the clip. Ducker Z. Is that a thing, or is that... Is that like a brand or something? I'll have to figure out what that is. Earlier today, I was having some trouble because... Oh, it's an emote. Okay. An emote. I don't think I have that one. I have like the extended emote, like the extensions for Chrome, but I don't have... I don't know if they're updated or not. But yeah, I was having quite a bit of trouble earlier because there's like a Nintendo, or somebody asked if they could make my RP characters in like a Mii, like this Nintendo game. It's like some kind of Mii where it's like The Sims, but with me's, like we's or whatever. And I was like, what is that? So I had to go look that up on Google too. All right. So we're getting pretty close to being able to start working on the eye of this particular hook. So that's a good thing. I'm hoping that I can get 2 done today, but I don't know. We are already at the hour mark, and I haven't even started punching yet. So we shall see. We shall see. Okay, let's do another heat. I'm starting to think that this is going to be an all-week project. But that's all right. Oh, it's slipping. Okay. One more heat, and I think we'll be able to start punching this. I've left myself a little bit of meat right here so that we can get that extra bit of for the hook, or like the top of the hook, I mean. Wear your gloves to punch. Well, you know, I've got 3 different punches, right? I've got this kind of punch. I got fruit punch, you know, like my juice. That's probably what I'll be bringing out here to drink after I finish my water. And then I've got this kind of punch. So 3 different types of punch. I'm going to turn up the forge just a little bit. See if we can get a little bit more heat out of that. So yeah. Fruit punch is alcoholic, so I would not use it in the smithy. See, I know that a lot of people put alcohol in their fruit punch, but here we have like, I don't know, here fruit punch is basically Kool-Aid, right? Sugar water that's flavored like fruit. So it's basically, it's just red juice. I don't have any alcohol in it. But the others, they work. That's true. That's true. That is wrong. I mean, you know, I guess I'm just a little bit on the lame side when it comes to that. I don't have any alcohol in my fruit punch. There is high C fruit punch that I used to drink all the time as a kid. And I think that it would be really bad if there was alcohol in that fruit punch. All right, let's do another heat. I think we're about where we want it to be. Okay. So I think we've got a pretty decent amount of material that we can make the hook. So the next thing that we need to do is probably, do we want to round out the hook part or do we want to punch the eye? I think we might want to round it out. So I'm going to put this back in the heat. Round out, yes. I think that's probably going to be the better thing to do, is round it out first. That way the hole punch isn't going to mess with rounding it out later. Round out, then punch. It makes a black eye, right? A roundhouse and then a punch. Now that song by Yes called Roundabout is playing in my brain. Can I remember that song? Not specifically. Could you hum a few bars? Right? So yeah, we are going to be rounding out the area that we drew out so that we can turn that hook into a nice a round. That way we don't, because I don't want to put excessive pressure on the screw eye or the weight, because if I allow the hook to be square, it's going to wear the loops strangely. So it's better if it's round. It's going to work a lot easier. So we'll round this out and then we will flatten out the end and start punching it. I want that punch, or the eye, I want that to be rounded as well. So we will probably put it on the horn and kind of get rid of all of the corners. Right now we're going to start with something that's a little bit more square, and I want to make it more rounded overall. I'll probably only get one of these done today. Now that I'm looking at the time, and that's kind of what I'm seeing, is I'll probably only get one done today. I got a hole in the lip. I do that way too often while I'm on stream. I cannot drink properly. Let's do another heat. New heat, new angle, new process. All right, so we are going to be taking the corners off of this as we go. You know what? It'd be nice if I could grab this properly. Maybe I should have just used the other tongs, man. I'm going to take another heat or two to kind of round that out. We've got a good start though. We are pretty thick right now, and because we are so thick, it's going to take a lot of extra effort to get the hook to round out, to hook. So we're gonna have to kind of pay a little bit more attention to what to that thicker section, and see if we can't kind of thin it out maybe a hair more. I'm thinking that if it's rounded or if it's thicker vertically, but less so horizontally, that's probably going to help us. And that may not have made much sense. I think one side is a little, or like that central area is a little bit too thick for the bend that I'm trying to get out of this. That's what I'm trying to say. So once again, I do want to let you all know, because some people have come and some people have gone, that this design for a hook eye and the designs for the rigging shackles are, I cannot guarantee how much weight they will handle. And so I would ask that you not use this for load bearing or use in anything overhead or, human related, because it could very well just snap. And I don't want you guys to get hurt. So don't try this at home, boys and girls. All right, let's do another heat. And using these tongs. All right, one more heat rounding out this section for looks, and then we're going to come back over to the horn to kind of round out this section, the transition between the eye and here, the rest of the hook. I'm listening to the Artemis mission in another tab. Houston just told them the toilet is full for the day. Wow. That is definitely something that I guess I never really thought about before. That makes sense though, because they've got to recycle all of the liquids and solids. So if they can only recycle it at a given speed, that makes some sense. But mommy, I want to do it. Right? Yeah. Still, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. But I'm also going to be like, you know, mom can't prevent you from climbing the tree, falling out of it, and breaking your arm. And I mean, I'm going to recommend that you don't, but you know. Yep, there's a water and waste quota every day. Yeah, that makes sense. Although, you know, depending on what time it is, you know, on their standard clock, it might be really early for them to be like restricted from using the facilities. We had a discussion in another stream speculating about how many bags of human waste are orbiting the Earth or are in the surface of the moon or on the surface of the moon. I don't know. Right, frozen doo-doo in space. I don't know. I really don't know. I would not even know how to speculate on that, you know? That is a crazy thought. Let's do another eat. Okay, so I think that's pretty decent. So for our next heat, what we're gonna do is start working on this thinner section here. Like I said, I'm leaving the thicker section so that it can be the curved section of our hook. So I want to make sure that it's a little bit thicker so it can hold a little bit more weight. A little bit more speculative weight. Like I said, I have no idea how much it will hold. So, I mean, maybe none at all, you know? So once we've got that nice transition between the area we're going to punch and the area that's going to create the hook, we might actually, I think that we might make the hook. I think it will be easier to make it before I do the punch, because the punch, or like the hole, is going to be parallel to the direction of the hook, because it needs to go through the shackle, and the shackle needs to go perpendicular to the hook. Otherwise, it's not going to work very well, I think. Yes. So if I grab out the chain. All right, so we're grabbing the chain. We got the chain. I don't know where the end of the chain is. There's an end of the chain. So we've got the end of the chain, and the chain is going, it only curves this direction. So we have to curve the chain this direction, and then the shackle needs to go like this, right? So I need the hook to be the same, or to curve the same direction that the chain curves, or it's not going to be a very effective hook. So yes, we want the hole to be parallel to the hook direction. So it'd be nice to know what direction the hook is curving before we do the punch. All right, I'm gonna move this camera back over towards the horn so that you guys can kind of see. All right, there we go. Is it in there? Yes, it is. Okay, we can see. All right, cool. Yeah, it looks like that. Okie doke. Different tongs. All right, and we're dropping the piece. That's okay. We can do that. A couple times it seems. There we go. All right, we are going to do another heat and drop the piece again. Goodness gracious, guys. I am the smart one. There we go. Back in the heat. Delicious, delicious. It must have landed on a hair that like fell on the ground or something. I have a really thick hair, and I'm constantly losing hairs here and there. Sorry, I'm smelling some weirdness, some burning weirdness. So I'm just trying to make sure that nothing is on fire that's not supposed to be on fire. Okay, I am out of liquid, so I'm gonna go grab some from the kitchen, and we'll be right back. It is Gatorade o'clock. Ooh, it looks like blue Gatorade, not red. I thought I was getting red Gatorade. I'm getting blue. Fancy. I'm still smelling like belts or something burning. I think it's all right, though. I think it's all right. All right. This can sit here and that can sit there. And let's do another heat. Another heat, another heat. Alrighty. We are working on the transition. Okay. So there we be. I'll stick that like that. So the next thing that I think we're going to need to do is curve that so that we can get that nice curve space. And then we're also going to flatten out that thicker area. That way it's going to stay in the hook shape. Okay, we've got an ad coming up in about 3-ish minutes. And so once that ad is over, I'll have plenty of heat. We're going to be able to do the curve, or at least we should be able to. I don't know if this bottle is leaking or what. All right. So yeah, this should be a fun project. It seems to be working pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. Now, once we get the hook curved, we are going to flatten out the block at the end and turn that into the eye section. So we need that eye to be big enough that it's going to be able to go through the bolt for the shackle. So I think that it needs to be relatively large, probably not too large like we did for our I don't think I want it to be quite this big, but maybe about a ½ inch smaller, because we need enough material that it's not going to break on us over time. We'll see what we can do. So I'm hoping that this one takes me a little bit longer, and then the next one we learn from our mistakes and the things that took us a longer time, and hopefully it takes us a lot less time for our second hook. I got a debate, or I think that what I'm gonna do though, let's see. Do I want to do 2 hooks and then 2 shackles, or do I want to do a hook, shackle, hook, shackle? I don't know. Do you guys have an opinion? Would you like to see the shackle next? Because I think we're not gonna be able to start it really until Wednesday. So do you want Wednesday to be the shackle, or do you want another hook on Wednesday and maybe part of a shackle? I'll let you guys decide that. If you don't make a decision, you don't want to decide, I will figure it out. I'll do whatever I feel like. But yeah, should be fun. I'm drinking this Gatorade too fast. All right. We've got plenty of heat, but I don't know when the ad is going to come up. So I want to make sure that everybody gets to see everything, whether they're able to subscribe or not. So we're going to wait until the ad is complete before we do our next heat. We are going to be using the horn of the anvil to kind of bend this whole hook, and it should be good. Maybe I will move the camera so that you can kind of see the middle of the anvil as well as the horn. That's probably going to be better. There we go. Since we're in ad time anyway. There we go. It works. Cool, cool. All right. We're getting there. It's starting to happen for us. We're getting it. We're getting it. So if this didn't turn out right, I mean, we can always do just a bent eye. I would rather not. I would rather it all be one piece. I think a punched hole is going to be best. Okay. Let's attempt this. We're going to make an attempt to start bending this. It might be a bear to bend because we've got that thick area in that center, and it's not going to want to bend very well. So we shall see. All right, first things first. We're going to do that. We want a nice little like hooky on the end of that. Now, like I said, it might take us a few heats to get this to work. Whoop, there it goes. It's starting to go. We've got it about halfway hooked or bent. So we're going to focus on that end over there. And I'll probably put this in the forge backwards. At first. So once we get this hook bent, we are going to take that block of material that I've been using to hold the hook with. We're going to flatten it out, but not a lot. We are also going to take the corners off of it. I want to make it as round to begin with as possible. That way we don't waste any material as we're going. So I don't want to make it really, really big. So by upsetting those corners in and turning it in kind of to like an octagonal shape, as we are flattening out the piece, I think we're going to have the most bang for our buck when it comes to keeping that hole centered and keeping the amount of material consistent all the way around the eye. So yeah. So earlier today, when I came out to the garage, or to the shop, I went to look to see how big I would need to make these hooks and shackles, based on the chain size. And when I determined what size I wanted to do it, I know that I have some hooks, some eye hooks in the other room. And so I went to go and find them. And I eventually did find them, but they weren't the style that I'm trying to go for today. They are the style that has like the spring catch. And so while I have them, it's not quite the same design. So I didn't bring them today. Maybe I should have. Maybe I'll bring those on Wednesday so I can show you kind of what I'm trying to do. All right, let's do another heat. I'm having issues grabbing a hold of this thing. Yep. Major issues grabbing a hold of this thing. You know what? Maybe we'll do it this way. That's not working either. It's probably going to take me an extra heat because I was not anticipating this taking this kind of time. And we've lost our heat. Whoopsie. We made a little bit of progress. All right, we're going to grab some more heat and then we're going to push this back so that it is more of a rounded hook. Put those down there. This might be a little bit more challenging. We'll get it though. I promise we'll get it. Because I also need to center the area, or like the eye, in the middle of the hook. And right now, it's not quite there yet. So we'll get there. It's just, I think it's going to take a couple of extra heats. We might even need to cool down the little curl at the end that I've added. Just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere as we are hammering the rest of the curve in. I know it's not officially rated for work, but it'd be interesting to try and bend it with a load cell to measure. Yes, it would be fun to do that. I would have to find somebody who's got one though, because they've got these like, for like, sometimes they're for like fish and sometimes they're for cargo and freight and stuff. They've got these like weights with hooks on them, and you can kind of see how much of a load-bearing or how load-bearing something is before it snaps. It would be really fun to see. I made it pretty darn wide, so I think it should hang on to quite a bit. I think the weak part is going to be the eye itself, because I didn't leave myself quite as much material as I think I need for a hook this wide. Okay, let's try this again. We shall see how well it goes. Can we do this? I hope so. All right, I'm gonna cool the base hook a little bit, just so it doesn't go anywhere. All right, so there's that. So I've got a nice hook going there. However, I need to move it a little bit, I need to move the eye a little bit awkward, or not awkwardly, but like I need to move it out. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're moving it in the right direction. Hey, Blacksmith Pop. Hey, Shelly. Thanks for the lurk. So we are currently making an eye hook, or a hook eye. So it's a hook that has an eye like forged into it. And then later on, probably Wednesday, we're going to start working on a shackle, like not like for people, a rigging shackle. So it is a decorative shackle and hook. I would not recommend this for load bearing because I have no idea how much of a load it would take. But theoretically, this is how they would make hooks and shackles for farming implements back before manufacturing. Thanks for the lurk, Bluesy. Lurks in the shadows, yes. Alrighty, let's do another heat. We're gonna see how well we can get this to work. Maybe it'll work well, maybe it won't. I don't know. Maybe I use these ones. These tongs. That way I can hold it this direction. Alright, so I think I need another heat. We've got a hook area, but it's not quite as nice as I want it to be. It's not very rounded, is what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna try and round it out on the next heat. I think that's what's happening. That was kind of a nothing heat, but you know, they'll get better. I missed the start of your stream today because I was in dire need of a nap. Well, you know what? Naps are more important than blacksmithing streams, so good on you for that. I think we're just starting to get to the good part anyway. We are shaping this hook, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to start flattening and shaping the area that we're going to punch in the eye. It's going to be good. Hopefully it'll work right. Hopefully it'll work right. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to finish this hook today, and then on Wednesday I'll probably do the shackle, just because I think that it's going to be better that way. And then on Friday, we'll see what we've got left to do on the 2 hooks and 2 shackles that we need to do. I might do a little bit of it over the weekend if we haven't finished it, because I want to make sure that, you know, we get things done and we can move on to other projects as well. And I have the ulterior motive of I don't have any padding for my YouTube videos. I need to get this done. But you will see the entirety of both processes of both the hooks and the shackles, because we're going to be doing the hook on today and then the shackle on Wednesday. For sure, for sure. All right, let's do another heat. It's starting to work. All right. we've got a hook shape, and I think that'll be all right. We're probably gonna take that and bring it the little tip in and out a little bit, but I think that's where we're gonna leave it at that for at least the big part. And yeah, it kind of looks like a little bit of a longer pirate hook to me. Arr, that be a mighty fine hook you got, right? A hook. I gotta do this, right? You can't see my hand, only my hook. So if I were to make this longer and bigger, I could make a pirate hook. Maybe we'll do that. We've got like, they have those, the giant hay hooks. We might do that at some point in the future. That would be a fun project. So one more heat on the hook part, and then we're going to start working on the eye. This is a hook eye? An eye hook? I don't know. Have you ever made chain? I know that requires a bit of welding, so I wasn't sure if you had. I have made butted chain. I have made soldered chain. I have not made riveted or welded chain. Most of the chain I've made in my life has been jewelry chain, but the principle is the same. Aside from the welding bits. So I am gearing up to do a series of videos on the Abana level 1 course. And I haven't decided if I'm going to stream it or if I'm going to do that on the weekend. I'll probably end up streaming it because I don't have a lot of stamina to be able to do that on the weekend. But Abana, the Artist Blacksmith of North America, they have 3 curriculums. They have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 curriculum that you can take and do that will get you a certified as a blacksmith through Abana. And the level 1 coursework requires 3 links of welded chain. So I will be doing some chain, and I'll try and show it to you. It'll be a fun, exciting project where Ray struggles very hard. All right, let's do another heat. Another fun, exciting project with Ray. All right, I think we're good on that. Okay, so our next stuff is gonna be flattening out this block of steel right there. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use these tongs because, or maybe I can, I don't know, we'll see. Can I use them this direction? What's the best way to do this? This is the best way to do this. Figure out how we're gonna hold it before we have to. I mean, I guess that technically works. I don't know that I like that hold though. It's gonna be hard to get it out. I think I'll try a different way to hold that. How we doing? Seem to be all right. We've been dropping frames occasionally. Hopefully we haven't dropped too many frames. Let's see. How can I hold this securely? Maybe these. These might allow me to hold it pretty securely. These are a set of horseshoe tongs, and horseshoe tongs are pretty darn wide and definitely allow me to hang on to things that are curved. So fingers crossed that we're able to use these for holding this hook. Well, somebody needs to pick those frames up and put them back where they belong, right? Definitely. Definitely. Drop boxes. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. All right. We didn't lose a lot of heat, so let's try this. This will be the last heat in this particular configuration with the camera because, oh, come on. I got to get it out of here. Ah! Ah! There we go. Much more better, right? All right, we're flattening this out a little bit. And I also want to pay attention to these corners. I want to take these off of here as best as I possibly can. To keep this as round as possible. All right, we got a little bit of fish lipping going on there, so we're going to keep a little bit extra time in the forge. We're starting to get it. It's going to be a pain in the butt to get out, I think, the whole time. Ugh. And dropping things, too. Ooh, that's hot. That's a hot set of tongs. Toss that in there for the moment. And now we'll pull them out. Nice and cool now. But a little wet. A little wet. So I am doing my very best to round out the area around where we are going to create our eye for this eye hook, or hook eye. Eye hook sounds like something that's an Apple product, right? It's a hook eye. Eye hook, yeah. Eye hook sounds like an Apple product. Like something that hooks you, like an iPad or something, you know? Something a little bit more addictive than an iPad. So yeah, we are going to move the camera. Over here for a moment. Give ourselves a nice area to use. Make sure the piece is relatively centered the whole time. I must have raided in. Hey, Nimbits. Yeah, we got a raid from Yankee quite a while ago, actually. But welcome to the stream. Hello. Not sure when Apple decided to go with everything instead of Apple fruit theme. They had going on. I don't know. I think the iTunes and the like they had like an iPod. I think those are the first things that had the I in front of it. Unfortunately, an iHook will only be compatible with other Apple products like the famous iChain, or to secure an iShelf. No chance to attach to an Android chain, right? I think the iPod was the first. Yeah, I think so too. That's what I remember, is the iPod. Okay, so I have an ad starting in about a minute and or 2.5 minutes. 3 minutes, somewhere in there. Anyway, let's do another heat while I gotcha. If I can get this even out of here. Okay, like this. We're grabbing things like so. I'm starting to think that maybe it was a mistake to curve this first. So maybe we won't curve it at first on the other side, or the other one, I mean. All right, got another heat down. I've got it about where I want it to start punching, but I do want to address the corners so that I can make it a little bit closer to its final form. I guess that's like Dragon Ball. I don't know where my brain is at. Oh, iMac. Was iMac the first? iMac was 98. iPod was 2001. I see. Get it? I see. So I've got this lovely punch out here. We're going to use this to create the eye. It's going to take us a little bit of time because this is pretty darn thick. But we should be able to get a lot of stretch and a lot of material. So it should be good. I want to save as much material as possible. But that still has the apple fruit in the name, Mac as in Macintosh. So it's kind of still on that theme. Maybe just thought it was way too long of a name, so they just kept the I. I bet that's what it was. You know? I mean, I'm not an executive of Apple or anything, but I is a really convenient denotation. I never had any Apple products. I think the last time I had to deal with an Apple product was when I used to work at Lowe's, because they had iPhones that had all of the locations of whatever was in the aisles and stuff, like for inventory. And before that, the last time I had an Apple product was when I was in grade school. I am a PC person. All my stuff is PC. Not really because it's like better or worse or anything, mostly just because Apple products are really expensive. Or at least they used to be. I heard Apple is going to be creating some budget PCs in the near future, and I look forward to that because there is some softwares that is only Apple. They'll only allow Apple usage, I guess. Like, I think Final Cut, which is an editing software. I use DaVinci Resolve for my editing needs. It is a free software that it really isn't free because you get it free with Red products. So like the Red Cam, you get the editing software for free when you buy a Redcam or Redcam accessories. Well, Redcams are super, super expensive. I had Macs mostly because they were virus free. They had Mac Minis that are roughly $500. I've had a couple. Great product. Yeah. I do a lot of gaming, and so I can't just go with the base product, right? So PC is just a little bit better for, or a little bit cheaper for a gaming quality PC. I gotta have lots of RAM and lots of memory. Or I guess RAM is memory. I gotta have lots of RAM and lots of graphics card. Beefy. In order to get my editing and my gaming done. But yeah. Alright, next heat. I always bought MacBooks. The issue is keeping the software up to date. They're real pain with their consistent software capability issues. Yeah, I mean, I hear that if you buy one, they last forever if you can keep them running. Alright, let's see if I can't. Ah! Maybe it helps if you do that next to the edge of the anvil, guys. Maybe that's what helps. Alright, we're doing alright. I think we're gonna attempt to do, or start the punch at least. Alright, where do we want it? Probably around here. I think I spent too much time lining it up. You can see the vaguest of ghostings on there. So I'm going to heat this back up and we're going to start punching in earnest. Macs are from 2008 and 10 and still run fine. Yeah, that's what I heard. The butler has a Mac PC in the basement on the other side as the jewelry shop, and it's a 15-year-old Mac and it still works. That looks like a hook to me. I think it does too. I do. I think it looks like a hook. Maybe I should drift it. Should I drift it? I might drift it. I think I might drift it instead of punching it. We might get a little bit more in the way of material to work with. So we're gonna drift it. So we're gonna start by slitting the inside, and it's gonna be like a slot. So we've got a little bit of width there, and then from there we are going to open that hole up, little by little. Hopefully it'll work for us. We've got about 45 minutes until I have to, like, for sure end the stream. So we should be fine. All right, let's try another heat. I cannot make up my mind as to how I want to do things, guys. That's my issue right now. Oh, nope, it's too big, so we're just gonna punch it. We're just gonna punch it. Punch it! All right, so you can definitely see much more of a ghosting there. So it's going to take us a little bit of time, but we'll get it eventually. I might just use these tongs. So we're punching a really, really thick hole, so it's going to take us quite a bit of time. Hopefully not too much time, but we should be good. Punching it like this will allow us to move the material away from the punch, and we will waste less of the steel this way. If I had a smaller chisel, I would be able to slit and drift it, and then we'd be able to save even more material. But I do not have one that is small enough right now. Or maybe I do and I just can't find it. That's my round, or that's my round one. That's my half round. This is my, oh, okay. That's my square. Okay. And that is an icky drift. Oh, it's the same size. I made my chisel the same size as this chisel. So it will not work. Either chisel will not work. Okay, let's do some more. Let's do some more. Just gotta keep on keeping on. Might take me a little bit of extra time because I'm being a little bit wussy about it, actually. I won't lie. I am being a little bit wussy about it. The heavy blows, I am always afraid that I'm going to hammer my hand, the hand that's on the chisel, with the hammer. And it is not a pleasant feeling. Not a pleasant sensation at all. So I'm being a little bit wussy, and I'll try not to be as wussy about this whole thing. So I'll do my very best, guys. I used to have a test tube holder that I could kind of use to hold the punch and not have to hold it with my hand, but I don't know what happened to it. It got lost in the shuffle somewhere. I thought you were going to punch your way through this, like this. I am, right? I'm going to punch my way through it. I'm going to try to anyway. Slowly, though. No knuckles. If only you could make something to hold punches. I know I could, but it's like you gotta make a tool to make the tool to make the tool, right? And so I'm trying to like not have to make another tool or to finish this piece first. I know. Let me try and turn up the heat just a hair. Alright. Just weld a handle on the punch. I mean, yeah, it's more a perfect circle than a tool, right? It's toolception. We're making tools to make tools to make tools. We're getting there. You can see that it's starting. I want to put it this direction in the heat so that maybe this side gets a little bit hotter and it'll move. You can see how that side is starting to move out of the way more than this side is. I'm trying to fix that if I can. Sorry, new here. What will the hooks be used for? Hello, welcome. So this is a chain that I received in the mail. And what I want to do is I want to turn this into a hold down. So basically, I'm going to put a screw eye in the base of my anvil stand. Then we're going to put a shackle through the chain, and the other end of the shackle is going to hold the hook, right? That way I can hook the chain onto the anvil stand, throw the other end of the chain over the anvil, and then use another shackle and hook to hold a weight. That way, my material on the anvil doesn't move around as I'm hammering it. The handle can be a simple piece of our stock. That's very true. And I can just cut it off when my punch wears out. It's a good idea, Bluesy. It's a good idea. I should do it. Maybe I'll have it done before Wednesday's stream. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's do another heat. I'm going to try and do these relatively quickly in succession because, like I said, I really want to finish this hook eye before the end of the stream. We're going to go the same direction because I want to make sure that we are whoa! I chipped it or tipped it. I almost got my hand. Almost got my hand. Not quite though. All right, let's see. We've got a little bit of a ghosting on that side, so we're going to try and work on that side a little bit. All right, so that's where we are right now. We are about halfway through. So we're going to cut this over and start on that side to kind of hopefully maintain or move this side a little bit and keep on keeping on. We'll see how well this works. Anyway, I'm off to bed. Good night. Night, Bluesy. Have a great sleep. We'll see you later. Or you could just train on hitting the punch instead of your hand, right? What a novel idea. Train hammer control. That is definitely something that I should work a little bit harder on, is hammer control. Did he say go punch a train? Maybe. We got some trains in the area. The pretty big trains. It's always interesting because the trains that we've got around here are, they carry a lot of stuff through, and I can hear them occasionally, but not very often. And then sometimes I just hear them really, really loud as they pass by. I don't know if it's got something to do with the weather or other people, making noise and stuff. But yeah, sometimes I don't hear it at all, and sometimes the train just goes and blares. We can feel them sometimes, and we're over a mile from the tracks. Wow, that's crazy. Cloud coverage will bounce sound. Will it? I suppose that makes sense. And that's kind of how shortwave radio works, you know? It kind of bounces off the atmosphere and it comes back down. We were kind of taking a look at and studying that a little bit the other day when we were thinking about doing some stuff for our RP. All right, let's see where the ghosting is. I think it's right here. Whoop! As I drop it. All right, so we've got a ghosting on that side, and then we've got that on that side. So we're going to continue working on this side. Hopefully, we'll be able to grow both sides equally. See how we're doing on the camera. We are gonna change angles again. Should be all right. Right there. All right. I don't see the camera. No, it must be below the camera's eye view, the big camera. So we should be able to get this done before 3 hours has elapsed. So that's a long time for a single hook. So I think we're going to have to come up with a better way, more efficient way to do this. I think we are going to probably use the mailbox because we can get a much hotter piece really a lot quicker. And because we aren't really doing much in the way of bending, we should be fine using the mailbox. Anyway, I gotta run some errands. Thanks for the stream. Good luck with the rest of today. Well, thank you so much, Mahalo, for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope your errands don't take too much out of you. We'll be done pretty quick, hopefully. Alrighty, do another heat. This shouldn't take us too terribly long to finish this up. At least I hope. I hope. We're gonna do this side, I think, maybe. And I dropped it, but I knew I was gonna. Alright, we should just be able to get it out. You can definitely see where it has shifted back all the way through that way, so we should be able to get the plug out pretty easily in our next heat. So I'm going to change the view of the camera so you guys can see that. We're going to come over here by the door. And once we're done with that plug, we're going to go back over to the other side and we're going to use the horn to open that hole up. Oh, did I? Yeah, there we go. I know what I'm doing. Maybe. I'm getting some lag in my view. Not in my OBS, but in my individual feed. Alrighty. Couple more heats and we should be done for the day. Couple more heats. I want to get this nice and hot so the plug will come right out of there. Then we can heat it right back up again and open up that eye a little bit. Alright. Let's do this. Ouch! Looks like it's going to take me one more heat, guys. Apologies. I let it get a little bit too cold. And I smacked my hand. The best. Not too bad. You can kind of see exactly where I smashed it, like right there. So I kind of missed all of the like bones and stuff, and I mostly got the webbing. I am really abusive to the webbing of this hand. I just hammered it. I stabbed it when I was in college. Not cool. All right, so once this plug goes all the way through, we will be able to pop it over and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get it on the horn. That's a wider horn. Okay, I wasn't sure. I have another cone mandrel that I can also use, but the tip of it is a little bit wider than the anvil's tip. So it will be less useful than the anvil itself. Alright, can we do this? Maybe. Maybe we can do this. Alright, let's try it. Fingers crossed I finish. So we can move on. This is taking too long. There it went. Oh, come on, get out of there. There it went. So now we have a lovely hole all the way through. One more heat to open that back up a little bit, and then hopefully we'll be able to toss it on the horn of the anvil. Does that count as a drop? Probably. Maybe. Trying to get the plug, guys, so I can kind of show it to you. It kind of ricocheted off. So this is the plug. It's actually thicker than I wanted it to be, but that's all right. This guy. Cool it off. Or I guess we can just throw it in the bottom of the quench bucket. That works too. All right, so we got an ad in about a minute and a half. So I think what we're gonna do is we are going to wait for the ad to finish, and then we'll finish up this eye. We're going to be focusing in on the top and the bottom transition of this eye to get the extra hole that we need, the extra diameter of the hole that we need. So yeah, shouldn't take too much longer, but it's going to definitely take more than 3 heats, I think. All right, so I think, yeah, we're gonna do at least one hole or one more punch on the Pritchell hole so that we can open up the eye a little bit, and then we will move over to the horn of the anvil for the rest of the stream. And then once that's done, we will be ending for the day. So yeah, we got through that hole relatively quickly. I mean, not as quickly as I want to do, but quicker than I would have in the past. So I'm pretty excited about that. Not too terribly bad. I'm learning things. I'm learning. We're going to get an ad here any minute now. And then after that, we are going to continue. We're doing all right. As far as, I keep seeing my own, monitor. It keeps needing to refresh. And I keep thinking that the main, OBS feed is failing me. Seems to be all right, though. All right, we are in the middle of an ad break. See if I can't find the little pluggy. There it is. Yeah, not too bad. Just kind of ripped in there. It's a little bit rounded. That's kind of weird. Alrighty. Starting to get a little bit tired, so I really want to get this done. And then, like I said, on Wednesday, we will be doing the shackle. It's going to take us a lot less time because we're basically just going to be drawing out the center area and then punching in the 2 eyes on the sides. I am not going to be making the bolt for the shackle. Alrighty, and we are back. Let's do this. We're going to do our very best to open up this hole a little bit further so that it'll fit over the pritchel. Let go. How close to being able to go on that? Okay, gonna need a couple more heats. So the next heat, we're gonna come at it from this side. What I missed? Making a hook. Yes, we are making an eye hook. Or a hook eye is what I'm doing. A hook eye today. And because what we're doing, the goal is that I want to make a hook eye and a shackle to go on the end of either side of the chain that Mahalo sent me in the mail. Yes, a hook for a chain. And then I will be able to put a screw eye on the base of my anvil, and then the other side I'll be able to hook weights to it. So theoretically I'll be able to hold things on my anvil base, and then I'll be able to remove it and when I don't need it, so I don't trip over it. Because I was afraid of doing a chain hold down specifically, or like that was attached to the anvil base, because I was afraid that I'd trip over it. So in this case, I won't have to, because I'll just be able to remove it when I don't need it. I will just accidentally give myself shin splints by walking past it and smacking my shin with it, with the eye. Why aren't we making a chain? Because a chain got sent to me in the mail. We will eventually make chain links. I am trying to figure out how I want to go about it, but I do have a plan for doing a series of videos on the Abana courses, like the level 1, 2, and 3 courses. We're going to start clearly, obviously, with level 1, and so that requires 3 chain links. So we will be making chain, but not just yet. All right. Soon. I got to get a hold of all of the different stock sizes that we need, and a few other things. We'll get there, though. All right, will the eye go over the horn now? No, it will not. All right, so we're going to flip it over this way, and after this way. After this, I think I'm just gonna open it up on the punch if I have to. It's taking me a little bit too much time doing it this way. So we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. But yes, John, you're totally right. I need to make a chain. I need to make a chain on the stream. Oh, goodness. I think my hook is all right, but I think that I could definitely do a better job of it. And maybe the second hook will do better. Hopefully the second hook will be better. Let's do another heat. Can I get that on there? I can kind of get that on there. All right, next heat, we're going to be working on the horn of the anvil. We're going to open up this eye, and then it'll be done. Probably. Likely. If I can get my tripod to not kill me. Okay. Let's come around this direction. How are we doing on that? I need a little more heat, I think. Years ago, I did a chain workshop where I team partnered up one older and one new. That would be a great idea to do a class with the one, or because then the the older guy can make sure that the younger guy is learning everything that they need. You know, because as a teacher and instructor, sometimes it's hard to get around to everybody. The teams would switch before the weld, so newbies were welding the nice scarves. Yes, that's awesome. That would also build a lot of confidence, because if the old guys were making the scarves, then the new guys were using their scarves to weld it. Makes the weld a lot easier. Definitely makes the weld a lot easier. The old guys had to deal with the bad fits, etc. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes it a little bit easier for the new guys, and it makes it, you know, the old guys learn something too. All right, let's do another heat. Let's see if I can grab a hold of this in a way that actually like works. Maybe, maybe not. There it goes. Or maybe I could not grab it correctly. That could work too. Grr. I gotta figure out a way to hold this so that I am accurately hammering, or able to accurately hammer. That's not working for me. Let's grab a different set of tongs somewhere along the way and get some more heat. Hey, Jack. Welcome to the stream. Let's get rid of these, and we'll go with these. Looking for a good set of tongs that I'm going to be able to use to grab a hold of this hook. I'm trying to open up the eye on a hook eye, but I'm having a little bit of issues grabbing a hold of it. I think maybe my next project after these hooks and their shackle counterparts, I might just do that set of wolf jaw tongs that I've been wanting to do. Those would be beautiful for this project. I believe I can do it. I know I can do it. Just gonna take me a little bit of extra time. Problem solving and all that. Alrighty, do we have enough heat on the tip? I think so. Let's try this. Let's try this. If it works, then beautiful. If not, then we'll figure something else out, you know? Stay in there, damn it. Whoops. Curse words. Get some more heat, and then we'll open that up a little bit easier or better. It's a little bit wider or like smaller than I wanted it to be, but it'll work. Or like the edges is what I'm trying to say is a little bit smaller than I wanted. I have no doubt that if you put your mind to it, you'll come out the other end with tongs. It's just how long the road is, right? Yeah, definitely. So I think for our next hook, I think I want to do a little bit of upsetting on the end of the bar because I think the eye is a little bit too thin for what I want it to do. I want a much wider eye, like the material around the eye. So we will figure that out probably on Friday because we're going to do Shackles tomorrow. Maybe we'll do a little bit tomorrow because I am going to be opening an eye out. Not tomorrow, but Wednesday. All right. Couple more heats. Let's do this. Can I give whole making options? Oh, opinions, yes. Please do. Please do, please do. The one side's a little bit thinner than the other. So we're gonna try and fix that a little bit. Something I find very helpful with a gas forge when trying to make accurate round circles but not having a drift is a water bottle with a tiny hole in the top of the lid. You can isolate, cool down the thinner sections and leave the thicker sections hot. And when you force movement, the thicker sections will move as opposite to, or as opposed to thin sections. Ooh, that's a good idea. That is definitely a good idea. I need a squeezy bottle. Definitely need a squeezy bottle. I could probably use this one, you know, poke a hole in there. Just don't go too cold or you'll crack it. You're still imparting a lot of force. Yes, because if I cool it too much, I'm moving, or like as I am stretching out that thicker material, it's got to move someplace, and it's going to end up bending that skinny section. So if it doesn't have anywhere to go, yeah, it's going to crack. It's going to crack. All right, let's do another heat. I'm trying to do these really quickly so we can get this done, because I don't got much time left before I gotta end the stream today. All right, well, that's pretty round, but it's very awkward. It's kind of like not really even. It kind of has a shift to it from I'm paying too much attention to one side of my anvil. So we're gonna do one more heat to try and fix that, and then we'll be done for the day. It is also how I center eyes on a drift tools. If they are off center, you cool one side and the base metal while driving in the drift. Yeah, that makes sense as well. That definitely makes sense. So we're gonna do one more heat, and then I'm gonna end up having to end the stream whether I'm finished or not. Because we're starting to get pretty late in the day and I got some stuff to do before dinner. So, I am so excited to have been here with you. I had so much fun, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your days. And if you've got any suggestions on who to rate, please do let me know. I always take suggestions. Okay. We're going to do one more heat. It would be nice if I had a hold of this better. There we go. More better. It's all right. It's not the best. We kind of have a little bit of a slant to it. So that's all she wrote for the day. I might mess around with this a little bit again on Wednesday. But thank you all for joining me today. I can't get it to... I can't get it to stand up on its own. Thank you and good night. You too, Sandwich. Thank you as well. All righty. Let's see. Who is there to rave? We got Let's go to Merrimack. Lou, Ray, have a good one. You too, Jack. You too. Sorry for late attendance. No big, man. No big. Real life always comes first. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, guys.